Comic-Con, I always see you. You're always next to Andy, and you're
Yep.
always very immersed in people. So
It's usually a good bet to find me next to Andy.
yes.
But today you're next to Tony.
Next to Tony and next to, like, I was drawing right there. Not ponies.
That way, it is ponies.
And now we are live. We are here at PonyFest. So greetings, everyone. Welcome to the convention once again. Or perhaps you're still here and we're rejoining you, in which case, hello. So I hope everyone's doing well. Has been enjoying today's entertainment. It's certainly been a lot of fun to interact with folks. And now they gave me a very grand honor of getting to talk with three very talented individuals from IDW Comics and beyond. So first up, we have Katie Cook. She was there. She was there at IDW My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Start, doing both Friendship is Magic, Friends Forever, Fiendship is Magic, the MLP Annual, the 2013 Holiday, and Deviations, in which Prince Blue Blood got sent to Ponyville instead of Twilight. That was a hoot. That was a hoot. She also works on Nothing Special, a fantasy story of a teenage girl coming into a realization that she's more than ordinary. Yep. And Gronk, a fantasy webcomic featuring a little green troll and her adoptive human mother. And if that wasn't enough, she's also worked for Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Disney. Katie.
Yes.
How are you still conscious? I
don't sleep.
Oh, dear.
Because I don't know if you also know, I also have 2 young children. So yeah, at the, like, even right now I'm juggling 4 different books, so I don't get out much.
Oh dear. Well, right now none of us do. Next on the list, we have Trish Forstner. Am I saying that your last name correctly?
Don't worry. A lot of people mess it up. But it's fine. You said it fine.
Well, I worry. Correct me, please.
Yeah, is that right? I say Forstner too.
Yes, you said it right. Everybody said you guys are saying it right. I get it every day at my job.
That's good. I will mess that up 5 times before this panel is over.
Sweet.
Now, Trish has a history working as BronyCon's artist and art director for 6 years, I believe.
7,
even more. And on top of that, she's been a plushie artist, creating wonderful crafts of ponies that people can take home, and recently served as cover artist for several IDW issues.
Yep. I absolutely got my first taste of interiors for the Christmas issue of My Little Pony. I got the privilege of illustrating the Free Comic Book Day issue, which God knows when that will be. Please soon. And I actually have an assignment now that I'm working on, which is very nice.
Ooh, mysterious.
Yes.
Non-disclosure statement?
I probably shouldn't talk too much about it. I don't think it's
You're allowed, Trish. The whole world's on fire.
It'll be season 10. Woo!
Excellent. Well, that will happen, and we're looking forward to it. And speaking of comics, his work on the how should I put this? What I call the second continuity of IDW's My Little Pony just wrapped up this week, thanks to the artwork of Tony Fleecs.
Hey, how's everyone?
Well,
everyone answers back.
Everyone answers back. We're all fine. Thank you. He too has worked for Disney on Star Wars, cover work for Marvel, Transformers, and of course My Little Pony. He's also got several original comics like Time Shopper, Stray Dogs.
I'm working on that too.
Yeah, that's Trish's comic.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm remembering. You both found a way to get your puppos into the background.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't come out yet, so we haven't found a way to do anything yet. But one day we will have gotten dogs into the backgrounds for sure.
Can
I have everyone bombard you with dog pictures and?
I mean, we're gonna
publish it.
We're gonna have it all drawn beforehand, so that will hopefully mitigate some of the pressure of drawing everybody's dogs into it. But there's like letters pages and stuff. That's far off into the future. Assuming there's still comic books in the future.
Oh, there will be. I don't know what the future will take shape, but there will always be comics.
I like your hopefulness, like your optimism.
Things that will survive the apocalypse: cockroaches, Twinkies, and comic books.
And let's see. I also understand that Tony, you've written in my lifetime an autobiographical comic.
Yeah, that was my very first. That's what I basically got into comics from. I did a book just by myself when I lived in the Midwest, and I found a small publisher to publish it, and then I just sort of started going to conventions and meeting people and people reading my work, and from there it's sort of that's how I got everything else. That was years ago. 14 years ago. As you can see, I'm getting very old. My beard is more Santa Claus-like by the day, and I can't shave it because my barber is closed due to coronavirus, and I'm afraid of making a mess in my sink because I don't want to clean it myself, and I don't want to ask my wife to clean it. And we have a cleaning lady, but coronavirus also, so I'm really in a beard-shaped hell. If I would just keep it tight in the first place, I could just shave regular, and that would be easy to clean up.
I just thought you were going for like an old-timey prospector look.
I don't know,
I'm gonna start calling you Hoot.
The longer it gets, the more of an outlaw I'll look like, and then hopefully people in this Mad Max world we're about to live in will think that I'm dangerous. They'll just be like, "Look out for that guy! He's an outlaw."
Well, that was me. I was thinking
Uncle
about
Jesse.
how I'm supposed to put both of our cars together, like to go full Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to have to put my husband's Nissan Juke on top of my Explorer.
Definitely.
Ride to Kroger.
Make it look like the Explorer had eaten the Juke.
Yeah,
Like
and then he can
there'd
stand
been a
on
battle
top
and
of
you
it
won.
with a flaming ukulele.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I would pay money to see that.
There won't be money then, Tim. That is the future we live in. You'll have to
The
trade in
currency is now toilet paper.
Yeah, you'll have to trade on that.
Well, then I'll get on a roll.
Yeah.
Waka, 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 waka.
It took a minute to sink in there, but I can hear the groaning in the distance. Well, as we dive into this panel, my general game plan is to ask a few questions of you all, and then to our folks watching at their respective homes, there is in the panel's chat, there is a main stage questions, and you can post your questions there. I will do my best to relay them for everyone to answer.
Is it going to be about all the cardboard in the background of my office? I'm just going to throw it right now. I've been redecorating. Anybody who knows me knows that's what I've been doing.
It's okay. In this apocalypse we envision, cardboard will be the next most valuable thing to toilet paper. It'll just hurt a lot more. Well, Katie, since you're drinking, now's the perfect time to ask you a question. You got your start posting work on DeviantArt and having a continued online presence, which I guess to sort of an old-timey thought of, you got to have resumes and put a portfolio together. That's a innovative situation.
Going to cons, I did used to take my portfolio around to conventions when I was a lot younger and be like, I want to be a cartoonist. And, I would run into this hurdle of my work is very simplified and very cutesy. And some editors would be like, good luck, kid, not going to happen. And then there were people that liked my work or liked me, but they're like, well, you're going to be pigeonholed into this one area of comics, which is kids comics. And then just posting my work online, all of a sudden I started getting work from, automatically Lucasfilm. I started working for StarWars.com, doing comics for them. And, then from doing my online comic Gronk for a long time, I started getting work from that, be it from Fraggle Rock, from the Jim Henson Company, and then Archaea/Boom to, then IDW. I got my chance at My Little Pony because of my online comic, Gronk. They thought I was funny, and the first issue of My Little Pony is the absolute first full issue of a comic I ever wrote. Because before that, I was a 4-panel gag artist or someone that they called in to do something like a 4 to 8 page anthology comic. So My Little Pony #1 is the very first issue of a full comic book I ever wrote.
Nice.
You couldn't tell.
Thank God.
Oh.
So yeah, and then even then it was a 4-issue arc. So I had to figure out how to do a story kind of over 4 issues. And that's all they thought it was going to be. They thought it was going to be 4 issues and done. So they were very surprised at the success that the My Little Pony comic had in the beginning, because, you know, Andy and I at the start, we were basically under the impression that we were going to get 4 issues and that's it. So, and years later, it's still going. I've written many comics since then, which is just insane. Just the other day, the very first issue of the Avengers that I wrote came out for IDW, and I've done a few issues of that. And I've gotten to write for Tangled for Disney. I've gotten to write for Frozen. I've gotten to write Spider-Man. I've gotten to write the Avengers. I've gotten to write all of these amazing characters now, basically because I have a history with My Little Pony, and I now get to write my own adventures with my comics. So it's been crazy.
That's excellent. Any tips for young artists who are looking to establish their own online presence, or
post your work, and, you know, don't be afraid of feedback, but, you know, just post your stuff. The biggest hurdle is just people saying, yeah, but I don't want to put it online. It was like, yeah, that's okay, but you still have to. If you don't put yourself out there, the answer is always going to be no. So
That's the truth.
the only sure answer? Speaking of artwork, the art you see unfolding before you with the Pinkie Pie is courtesy of Trish. So I have to ask Trish, are you able to draw and talk at the same time?
Yes, I can.
Oh, you're better than I then.
I'm not as good as Tony.
That's
Tony-
not true.
Well, Trish, I'm curious, working 7 years doing art for BronyCon, what caused the transition to do covers and now comics for IDW?
Well, Sarah Richard, bless her beautiful punk rock heart, she saw a piece I did of Twilight Sparkle, or Twilight and the Rainbows, which is like an 80s mishmash of Gem and Holograms and My Little Pony, and she passed it along to one of the editor at the time, Bobby, at IDW, and he approached me about doing covers, which was so amazing. I tried, actually. I submitted my artwork to them many times, and never heard back, which was fine. I figured it was just in the black hole, and that's okay. But you know, you never know who's going to see your stuff and like your stuff enough to talk about you. Nice things for a change. And it's just really cool. Sarah's stuff's really amazing anyway. So to have someone like her, who I consider, you know, in this echelon that's so far above stylistically, say nice things about my work and pass me along, it was just fantastic. And that caused the whole transition. And then working hard after that, you know, I got to do that 4-page little story in the Christmas issue, and that was so much fun. And I learned a lot. And Tony's been a real big help, you know, teaching me the ins and outs of these crazy comic thing. He's such a boss with all of his books he's doing.
You, I mean, you had to do a lot after you got, after Sarah recommended you, just to get hired again, though, or to even get hired in the first place. Like, I've recommended all kinds of people and nothing ended up coming out of it. You know, like a few people it's worked out for, but for the most part, like, I'll just go like, oh, this is great, can I send this in? And then I will, and then that'll just sort of be it. But you know, you're good to deal with. Like, you can talk and you can email, which is very helpful. And then I touch my face. And then also you're fast and reliable, which is also helpful. You know, like when you say you're going to do something, you turn it in, and that is like 70% of the whole deal, at least. So.
That's the truth. I mean, it is a lot of hard work, you know, learning it as you're going too. Try and get something that you think, like, I've always drawn illustrations. So I treat every comic panel like a tiny, 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 like full-blown illustration. And I'm trying to break myself of that. It's difficult, but you know, because it is you're telling a story, but not everyone has to have like an intricate background and all of this, you know, craziness.
I don't know. I do that with my comic, and I just, you know, I really enjoy spending 2 hours on every panel at this point.
I have a page coming up that I know is going to take me like 5 hours to do. I feel so bad for Heather.
I love 15-hour drawing days. What are you talking about?
Right?
I can only imagine the amounts of caffeine you all consume.
I'm
Yeah, it's not
consuming some
healthy.
now. No.
How do you keep your hands steady?
I take my anxiety medication every morning with a shot of espresso. It's great.
It's fantastic. You just got to get people used to looking at wavy lines. It's fine.
Well, talking about learning new things in comics or learning the styles, Tony, you've said before that working with My Little Pony, you have certain parameters to work within to match a look that so people will recognize the characters. But then if you switch and are working on, say, a Star Wars comic, it's hard to break out of those parameters. What are some tricks you do to shake that off or switch gears?
Well, I think it's more on ponies than outside of ponies. Like it's more switching, like moving into ponies from outside than carrying it with me to the outside world. Because I actually feel like that's actually been kind of helpful. Like when I come back to ponies after working on Star Wars, or like I'm working on Transformers ponies right now. And so like within the same panel, I'll be drawing, very complicated robots and very simple ponies, but they tend to infect each other a little bit, where the ponies will get a little bit more complicated and the Transformers get a little bit less complicated, like so that it matches and fits together. But then moving forward past that, the next time I do just a regular pony thing, how do I make that? How do I pull that back to the way it used to be, to not being as detailed and complicated? If I'm stuck this detailed for the rest of my life, it's going to take me forever to draw everything, because I'm in a very bad place right now. I'm very late on this book, but luckily no comics come out anymore, so it sort of works out for me right now. But I'm spiraling out of control on this Transformers My Little Pony.
Well, Tony, last week I had to draw 6 Millennium Falcons. So
that is 5 more Millennium Falcons than I feel like is necessary.
Yes. And a lot of X-Wings.
That's a lot of flying hamburgers.
It's a lot of details. That's a lot of dishes. Square dish or round dish?
Not good. It was very upsetting for everyone involved.
No.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to My Little Pony Transformers Friendship in Disguise. Although I don't know if you can come up with a shorter title, as the acronym is
MLPTFFID. Yeah, that's a lot. I brought artwork from it. I don't know how to share my screen though, so if you guys know how to do that, I can show you guys stuff.
Do I need to stop sharing my screen so that you can share?
I don't think so. I don't know.
At the bottom of Zoom, there should be an option that says share screen.
It's like a green box with an arrow on it.
Now what? Oh, yes. Got it.
One click of the button should do it.
Oh, that is. I got to wait till you're done drawing. When you're done drawing, you let me know.
Oh, I'm done. I will stop so that you can go. How do I stop?
I don't know. Is it at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, I think you just hit share screen again.
We're really all learning this together.
Yeah, we are.
Let's see what happens. I have 3 screens, so this could get crazy.
I was about to say, I have many screens, so this would get real confusing really fast.
I figured it out. Your turn, Tony. Go for it.
Okay, here we go.
Well, now you're just gigantic.
Am I huge now?
Now we're getting to see your awesome studio.
Keep asking me questions while I go through and figure this out.
Well, I will say we're looking at Fleecs Design, yes?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's called Garage Art Studio. I generally work in here with a bunch of other guys, but since the lockdown, nobody else is in here. It's just me, which is sort of cool because I get to have like a second home, like I'm not going too crazy from cabin fever.
Well, that's important. Something I think we all struggle with.
Yeah, it's been pretty helpful.
Well, see, my office is just my basement, so
nice.
I'm in my living room. I have to work from home, so like I have my work computer set up behind me on the dining room table, and I'm in the living room now, drawing on this massive setup. Weird.
Nice. Well, Katie, I have a question about Nothing Special.
Okay.
You mentioned that the main character, a young teenage girl, her best friend is a teenage boy. They
Mhm.
start out as friends. Later, they become a couple. But you've emphasized you don't want to just make the romance the central theme.
No.
Could you tell us a little more about that?
I'm very big on the fact that, Callie is a good person with or without a partner. So Declan is kind of not really an accessory, but he makes her a better person. So their relationship is not about it being romantic. It's about them building off each other and being better people because they're with each other. And I'm doing the same thing in season 3, which comes out on April 7th. And actually, there's a lot of different themes that I'm exploring in the new season. And part of that was I was trying to define what I think a relationship is.
Mhm.
And my theme is basically perfect acceptance of an imperfect person. Which is what I think a really good match between not only a romantic partner, but any friendship is. So yeah, I'm very big on the fact that I don't want mushy, smoochy romance. I want, to show a character piece. I want to show how people react and relate to each other. And I think that's what, since it is a YA book with a largely teen audience, I'd rather show real relationships and how they should be.
Mm-hmm.
So as opposed to like just love triangles or girls pining after, the handsome man, or the YA dystopian thing of like, I have to go kill a prince, but now I'm in love with him and we're in the apocalypse. And I'm trying not to do that.
So we're trying to stay clear of the divergent maze running games.
Yes. So yeah, I try really hard to write a realistic relationship as opposed to the tropey teenage romance.
Oh, excellent. I think we may have lost Tony in trying to share his screen. He may have
He just ran.
Kicked himself from the chest like, this is too much. Oh, wait.
Oh,
Connecting to audio. There he is.
Tony,
Adding him back on.
Welcome back.
He's back.
I'm back.
All right.
Sorry. That's okay. I apologize.
Well, you're back just in time to tell both you and Trish can tell us more about whatever you can of Stray Dogs.
Oh, yeah. So that's a book that we're working on. It's about dogs. It's sort of like a crime comic that is told from the perspective of dogs. And it comes out from Image Comics, presumably next year. We'll have it done next year and ready to go. So if everything with comics is up and running again, then we'll put that out next year. I can show you what it looks like, I guess.
Yeah,
I think I got my screen working.
Yay.
Oh, excellent.
Let's see here, but I have so many things open on my screen that it's just, oh, here we go. Let's see. Does this work?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So that's this book I'm working on with Trish. It's called Stray Dogs. I can show you just a little
This
bit.
is like some of my finest work. I'm so proud of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Trish is doing incredible work. It's sort of like it's a real Don Bluth-y vibe that she's doing, and it's way more realistic than sort of like the pony stuff.
Mhm.
As far as just like backgrounds and atmosphere and perspective, and so there's a lot of that. Yeah,
there's a lot of crazy camera changes and oh my god, perspective to wrap my brains around, which I hadn't really focused too much on. So it's very challenging and fun. I'm really, really proud of it. We just finished inking issue 2. I'm so pleased.
Yeah, it's going to be 5 issues long. The 3rd issue is written, and Trisha's working on a pony issue right now. And then when she's done with that, we'll start working on issue 3. So we're just sort of putting the whole thing together, which is sort of a luxury we have being independent comics, that there's not like a profit model set up yet. We can just sort of like put the whole thing together and then worry about the business of it after it's all built and ready to go. And since we're both working on other things at the same time, we figured it'd be safer to get everything done before we started putting it out. So yeah, so we're working on that. And then I can show you I can show you Transformers stuff now too. You guys at home have to promise not to record this or show anybody because it's secret.
Well, I believe this is streaming and that might be recorded by Twitch.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh yeah, we've got about 4 recordings going right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
be cool, everybody.
I've done my due
Everybody
diligence.
just be cool.
We can censor them.
I mean, this may be the only chance we ever have to see this. So, this is it up? Is it happening?
Yes. Oh,
Nice.
of course she tames the savage Cybertronians.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a cover for issue 3 or 2? 3. That's the layout for it, and that's the final. It's Fluttershy and Soundwave's tapes.
You made Transformers cute.
Yeah.
I know, it's adorable. Oh God.
I do feel like the cuteness, like I was saying, like it affects everything else. Like I've been working in ponies long enough that everything sort of gets cute. I do cute Star Wars. You do cute Star Wars.
I do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, here's Grimlock and Spike fighting a bunch of Decepticons. This one is a fun trick where I don't have to draw the other robots if they're big and in the foreground. That was a time saver because Transformers are real complicated. Here's
What do you mean machines are hard to draw?
yeah, a lot of details. Here's everybody on Cybertron before the crossover happens. These are sort of out of order pages. There's Queen Chrysalis. There's sort of like a changeling Decepticon thing going on. There's more Autobots getting zapped away. So yeah,
Nice.
a bunch of stuff happens. This is from the setup part, like the very first part where they all team up and get together. Zoom. And then I got a couple pages from the finale where there's a big giant battle. This hasn't been colored yet, as you can see. I'm still working on it, but it's so much like Transformers and ponies together. This next one is crazy. Get ready.
Oh my Lord, I can't even tear this apart. Look at that.
Yeah, there's a lot happening there.
There's so much happening.
Yeah, so it's a lot of detail and a lot of some places. Luckily, there's not even room for background, but I'll put it in when I color. I'll put in atmosphere and sort of like background shapes, and it'll all sort of work out, come out in the wash. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. I'm gonna take that away.
For some reason, all I could focus on was Starscream's face and hear the song "How Could This Happen to Me."
Yeah, that's my favorite part too. I'm glad you zeroed in on that. Like, I'll show you one more time. Starscream has like a real, you're getting punched right in his mouth, and I like it. Did it happen? Yeah, Optimus Prime is just punching him right in the mush. And
Yeah, I was
I
looking
gave
at
him, like-
Rarity in a car.
yeah, that's RC, the Transformer. She's like that pink Transformer.
Yep.
So yeah, it's fun. I get to put them with machines. Like all through all of My Little Pony, we haven't got to do any sort of like mechanics or anything like that because it's all almost like steampunk era. They just have steam engines. So yeah, they're in cars and lasers and all sorts of stuff.
Well, everything's powered by friendship.
Yeah, that's the power source that everybody's after now.
And now it's powered by punching Starscream in the face.
It's
Right environmentally
in the
friendly.
kisser.
Well, that's marvelous. So I want to remind folks watching that if you go to the Discord chat and go to main stage questions, I'll be happy to pass those along, and we can answer them as best we can. But Katie, are there any works you'd like to hint at?
Well, I am currently working on another Star Wars book.
Nice.
A big, if anyone doesn't know, I draw Star Wars kids books. And this is a nice, big, crazy one that's kind of the most iconic moments from all of the movies.
All 9?
So it's been really fun, but it's very labor intensive. But I've gotten to draw a lot of really fun, crazy stuff. I've spent 2 weeks penciling and inking that book alone. And now it's all off for approvals, and who knows what's going to happen. I mean, that entire publishing department's working from home. But other than that, I've just been plugging away. My first issue of the Avengers just came out, so there's a bunch of Avengers stuff coming out. It's super fun. The first issue, Thor and Ant-Man break a Precious Moments figurine that was on Black Widow's desk, and they go to the flea market to go try and find another one. and meet up with Loki. It's very silly.
That sounds so wholesome.
I know. And
I
then
love
in the second issue, I bring back Paste Pot Pete, who turns out he works as a 5th grade elementary school teacher. And when he sees Captain America there for a hero day, decides it's his time to shine and go back to villainy. And my only note from Marvel was, did somebody approve this?
No, I just
No,
was
someone
going with
did
it. Someone
before
did.
the other editorial team took over. So I got to do it. And then, and then it's just nothing special on Webtoon, which has been crazy because it's my baby. That's my project. And, I kind of stepped away from My Little Pony to do this project a couple of years ago. And now season 3, which is, I call it book 3. They call it season 3, previews in less than 2 weeks. And I've got this is chapter 10 sitting here on my computer right now. So I've got a nice backlog. And I mean, we're at almost 400,000 subscribers. That's insane.
Congratulations.
It's amazing for a comic that I thought was weird and kind of just my vanity. This is just, I want to make this. I just want to make a comic with a radish and a weird bunch of weird teenagers. That's been great. So
excellent. It turns out that the main stage questions just opened up, but people posted from the main chat. This is a question. What's been your favorite issue to work on? All 3 of you.
Me? The one I'm working on right now is awesome, but I can't tell anybody about it. Well, not too much. It involves Scootaloo. Scootaloo is my favorite of the 3. So.
Oh, there you go. Respect.
So.
Her and her murdered parents.
You're making me think of My Little Ties and his Scootaloo parents card. He just lasered out 2 outlines behind her.
God.
Andy and I have a running joke that Scootaloo is like Batman, and every night she goes and she curls up in the chalk outline of her parents in an alley.
Whoa.
The pearls, and that one day she's going to be Batman.
Well, My Little Grimdark.
I think my favorite one, I was just looking through pages the other day, and we did one, me and Tom Zoller, that was about Pinkie Pie finds herself in Discord's dimension and ends up taking over because she's the dimension tries to make her crazier and she makes it crazier, and so it becomes this big problem. And it's sort of like this Apocalypse Now situation where they have to go in and find her, and when they finally get to her, she's just crazier than they could have possibly imagined. She turns into the Princess of Chaos, and so she has there's this full Alicorn style Pinkie Pie in the story. That one was a lot of fun. It had a lot of imaginative stuff that I got to draw. I like that one.
And you got to put in that fun callback to Nightmare Rarity, even with a Hi Sarah in the story.
Oh yeah, I did. Hi Amy.
Hi Amy.
Yeah, because Amy Meverson created the Nightmare Rarity character, and so I just ripped off her drawing, and then I gave her a little shout out in the background.
Let's see, Katie, what was your favorite issue?
Well, as you know, with being more of the writer on everything, I think that my favorite one that I've written is how Rarity got her groovy back.
Oh, flatgrass and wheatseed.
Yeah, all the way kind of back in the beginning. I like doing the just almost character pieces more. I also really like Zen and the Art of Gazebo Repair with Big Mac. I thought it was really fun to write 2 issues of Big Mac, just trying to do a task, just do a thing. And I loved when I pitched that issue, because it's a 2-issue arc, to Bobby over at IDW. I basically said, I'm going to write 2 issues about Big Mac trying to get a box of nails. And he wrote back, why? And I wrote back, it'll work. And he just wrote back, okay. Which really sums up my relationship with the editorial team.
But it's okay because you nailed it.
But no, I love how those ones always turn out.
I think Bobby was really going through some stuff around that time too, because I did covers for that, and I remember I was just super burnt out. There was so many covers back in those days, and we're doing issues at the same time. and I sent him this cover layout that was just Big Macintosh's head, and it just said "Yup" on it. And he was just like, I mean, it's not doing anything for me, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine. So I think he was just sort of like, he also was feeling the burn of, because that was like 6 months in or 7 months in to the craziness of it. So it was just like, yeah, fine.
I think it was also right after that series of issues is the start of when Hasbro, I think, actually started reading all the scripts.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, back when we were flying fancy free, we were kind of just getting away with everything, and then all of a sudden it was like notes, and it was like, oh no, someone's actually reading them now. No. It was problematic.
All right. We have a question from N30 for all of you. Name a comic, a book, a creative work of some sort that really inspired and pushed you to become an artist yourself. Let's start with Tony.
Oh, good. No pressure.
A
creative work that inspired me to become a creator myself. Well, the thing that sort of pushed me to actually make comics was the movie and then the books, American Splendor. Because
that's not a good goal.
Well, no, I don't want to, I don't want to live in a house full. No, I do live in a house full of just records and books. Shit. Well,
ooh, family program, sir.
Sorry. Yeah, but that was a movie about a guy that just made his own comics about himself. And in the movie, they had sort of the thesis that comics is just words and pictures. And it's sort of like I had made comics before, but I hadn't ever thought about just like, I always thought you had to get hired to make comics. Even though I read independent comics, I thought you had to sort of be given permission. And in the movie, that guy just up and made his own comics. And I was like, well, shit, I could do that. Shoot, I could do that. Like I can draw. And so that's sort of what got me into comics. That's sort of what inspired me. And just the idea that it's just words and pictures and a comic can be about anything was sort of a revelation to me.
Nice. Katie, how about yourself?
Really, I can narrow it down to two things. One being Calvin and Hobbes. I really wanted to be a newspaper cartoonist when I was a kid. And I went to college to be an illustrator, and then all of a sudden newspapers were dying. And then the second one is really easy to think of because I just handed off my copy of it to my 9-year-old today because she said she was bored out of her mind and she loves comic books, is Bone by Jeff Smith, which is the comic book that made me realize that not all comic books needed to look like the Marvel or DC aesthetic. And all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, this guy draws stuff that's beautiful and organic and wonderful, but it's still very cute and soft. And that's what I wanted my work to be like. And now I get to sit here and watch my oldest, who loves to read graphic novels. I'm just handing her everything that I loved as a kid. It was like, here you go. So I've just created this mini me, and I was like, this is how you get a liberal arts major. This is terrifying. Not good.
And Trish, we saw earlier that you have very Don Bluth inspired artwork. Was he a big influence?
My inspiration for, well, it's not necessarily a comic inspiration, but illustration and stuff in general comes from my love of animation. Don Bluth, Disney Company, Warner Brothers, they all had some really good stuff in the 80s and 90s, and that's just where my aesthetic lives. So of course, My Little Pony comes to my brain naturally. The 80s ponies, and we skip that one in the middle, and then we go to Gen 4. But Don Bluth, I actually took an online art, I guess, thing with him, and he said nice things about my artwork, and I was just ready to just leave this earth. It was great. Yeah, Don Bluth, amazing.
What was that like? Was it like instructive? Was it was it like a seminar?
Well, at the time, it was more, we were joined up. paired up in teams and we're trying to create a cartoon. I got as far as animating a walk cycle of a little bunny, and it was very, very hard. I love animation, but my brain does not work right, so I can't do it. I mean, I understand it. I know the process. I know timing. I can do it. I can do it in my brain, but like when I go pen to paper or pencil to paper, nope, it just goes away.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep straight. I went to school for animation too, and the sort of like math you're doing in your head all the time is it's a lot. It's a whole lot more than comics, where you can sort of just like get the image out and then move on to the next one and not have to. I mean, there's some math like who's speaking in this panel and where you're putting that, like the layout of it and keeping everything straight, continuity and stuff. But like animation is like that times 1,000.
It's like a next level.
Did someone say continuity?
Yeah.
It's like a next level gift, and that's where I always actually wanted to go, was animation, and I didn't quite make it there. I made it as far as illustration, and everything I know is self-taught or learned from a book. So as far as like Drawn to Life, amazing. It taught me a lot. There's a Warner Brothers archive book. Dang the name, but I can't remember it. But I have it. It's got like an animation cell of Bugs Bunny on the front of it, and I still have that book. I got that book when I was 9. I still have that book.
I have that book sitting on my shelf.
Yay!
Oh, nice.
You have it.
I have an astounding collection of animation art books for someone that doesn't know anything about animation.
Oh, my Don Bluth book, my art of The Secret of Nim, and it's got a lot about his video game, Dragon's Lair, stuff like that. I just love looking at that stuff. It had like an organic roughness to it that was really still so polished and very hard to replicate. But I don't know. It's just very inspirational to me.
You gotta send me a picture of that Don Bluth book. I've got the storyboard one of his, but I don't have the one that's about Secret of Nim.
Oh, geez, now you're making me
that
intrigued.
out. Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
I think that answers a question we had on deck from Glycon Craft, who was looking about specific resources for understanding facial expressions.
You've got one of these to look at and a mirror.
Yeah.
What's that dude? Preston Blair? Is that the animation book guy?
Yep.
Yeah. His animation book has great facial stuff too, and it sort of breaks down how to translate your own face into the cartoon face.
I have that book too.
Yeah, we got that book. Come on, Trish.
Yeah.
Trish, I think this is, we talked a little bit about you getting hired to do covers, and that a lot of work went into that. And people are still wondering, what's the best way to try and achieve that goal? Any tips for folks with specific actions, do's and don'ts?
I would say just keep putting your work out there. I happened to get noticed by somebody, I tried to submit, and you can try that too. I tried to submit artwork. I'm as a complete noob, I had no idea what I should do and what I shouldn't do. So I just, spam emailing IDW, hey guys, how are you? Here's some of my latest work. It was, the education came in, making friends that already are there, I guess. And that whole friendship thing, it actually does work.
Magic.
Yes, it's magic.
Magic.
Yes. So I was friends with Sarah anyway before that. She's just so cool, and you just never know who's looking, I guess.
You don't, and the way I got involved in My Little Pony is very much like that, because basically, like I said, it's Bobby liked my webcomic, and I had tweeted after I had watched some of the new show. I was like, hey, I really like the new My Little Pony show. And he contacted me based on that, and he was like, oh, you like it? Do you want to write it? And that was my email. That was the email saying, do you want to write it? Based solely off of that tweet. And then I basically went to Andy, who's been my friend for, over a decade. And I said, I was just asked, do I want to write it? Do you want to draw it?
Nice.
And
so a team was born.
the team was born, and now he can never get rid of me, no matter what.
But that also comes from like if someone else had tweeted that didn't already have a body of work or comic books going, it would have just been a tweet that sort of went by and flew off into the ether.
Yeah.
So part of it also is like if you want to draw comics or if you want to make comics or draw covers, should be making comics, or like if you want to work for My Little Pony, maybe try and do covers for something, like do covers for whatever you can first.
Yeah.
So that when My Little Pony looks at you, they go like, oh, this person already can turn in stuff and can do the work and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of people who do fan art and do artwork and stuff that's great, like way better than me. But can they do it on a deadline? Can they, can they handle emails? Can they handle instructions and stuff like that? So when they look at you, they need to be, because they're already like the people that make the comics, the editors and the production staff and the people that do approvals and all this, like they have a whole other thing they're doing that day. They're actually making the comics. So when they get time to go out and look for somebody else, they need to be able to see right away, like, oh, this person is somebody like already makes comics. They can do it. So that part, I'm already safe, so that's helpful.
Yeah. They got to see you as a cog that they can fit into the machine.
Yeah.
And absolutely manage your email.
Oh yeah.
I let Ryan do that.
Yeah. Well, I as a noob I managed this email, and that was very important. Just trying to be professional and speak to them like, oh, you need this right away. I mean, my artwork for the comic has been used on several other things. I think they used it for SDCC one year, and
Oh yeah, that was a real a learning experience, because our contracts are with IDW, but like once we do the artwork, it's just owned by Hasbro immediately.
Yeah.
So when we were first doing the comics, it was just like immediately everything was T-shirts and bags and carpets. It's just like
you're like, wow, it's a blanket now. Why is it a blanket?
Yeah, I got that blanket.
So I know both Katie and Trish have watched the show. Tony, do you check out the actual show, or is it mostly
My Little Pony?
Your own work? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I watch the show. I haven't seen every episode, but when I'm working on a thing that involves particular characters, I'll go in and do all the like the research. I'll do like a wiki, like which ones do I especially need to watch for this, so I'm not missing stuff. I mean to catch up all the way. Maybe during this pandemic, I'll sit there and finish up watching it. I haven't seen the very end yet. I know what happens.
The apocalypse watching the last season of My Little Pony.
Yeah. Well, that way, if it all ends, I won't have lived an incomplete life.
There you go.
And plus, if I start working on season 10, I don't want to be doing season 9 stuff in season 10. That would be very embarrassing.
Yeah, see, I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old that are both little girls, so I am well versed in ponies. Even if I didn't work on it, I would know everything about My Little Pony.
Well, and speaking of that knowledge, when it comes to drawing, say, background characters, Tony does his research, and I appreciate that you keep aware of all the background pony myth. And Katie, when you and Andy were working on Pony Comics, there were a ton of background references and Easter eggs. Do you have a lot of control over who's put in the backgrounds or what is put in the backgrounds?
Well, for that, it's mostly Andy. I mean, that's almost all Andy and what he's doing, and that's to keep himself entertained. That's why there's so many Magnum PI pony appearances. But amazingly, I know he started putting him and I in the comics a lot, just in the background, and then they put us on the show, which was so fun. It was so cute. And now it's like that's the thing I get to like hang my hat on with my kids. It was like, look at me, I'm a pony. I'm an official pony. It was like, what have you done with your life? You're 6. I'm a pony.
Well, they put other stuff, like they put your D&D game into the show too.
Oubliettes and Ogres. I created that for the comics, and then they put that in the show, which was insane and amazing. So that we've seen a lot of little nods from the stuff that has been in the comics in the show. I don't know. Did they ever put Tibbles in? That's what I.
Sadly, we never got our Tibbles
No
for Princess
Tibbles.
Luna.
Just even like a possum, just like in the background of a shot that she was in, would have made me happy.
Can say that's him, like the way people say Captain Rex is that one guy in Return of the Jedi. There he is. It's Tibbles.
There he is. There he is.
And I'll try to ring up Big Jim later. Stop playing possum. Put in the possum.
So, but yeah, it's the fact that we were acknowledged a little bit in the show every once in a while was really nice and really sweet. So, because I mean, I worked on ponies for so long. I was the pony lady for the longest time.
Oh, what's that like?
It's leaving or being the pony lady.
Being the pony lady. I'm the pony lady still. This thing seems to go on and on.
Chris, we have a request if you could share your sketching once again.
Who, me? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
I hope you're still working in the background, Trish.
That's no way to refer to Applejack.
Yeah.
Now all the
she-
fans hate me.
Hey.
But
He's the best background pony.
Oh, I actually ticked off the staff making that joke one time. Now, with background references and in jokes, is there any intellectual property, Hasbro, IDW, or otherwise, that you'd like to cross over with Pony, either as a gag, actually do a legit crossover?
Gem and the holograms.
That'd be funny.
Oh, yeah. That would be all right. I have an issue with when it's people, though, because I don't want to know what size the ponies really are.
No.
That's been my main issue with the Transformers, is that I keep changing the scale all the time on these pages, just because sometimes because it's impossible not to.
I think the thought of them being actual horse size makes them terrifying.
Disgusting. Yeah, it's gross.
Awful. It's the worst.
I always like to think that the little in My Little Pony is like an active part of the title. So like they're little, like I think they're like the size of my pinky thumbnail, or something. Like they're just very tiny.
You gotta be like pocket sized.
Yeah, or like the size of the little blind bag ponies that you get. Like I like the idea that they're that size. But if that was the true size of them when I'm drawing them next to these enormous robots, they would just look like gnats. So I have to just sort of fudge it here and there. But luckily there's no people. There's people in Transformers, and there's My Little Pony and My Little Pony Transformers. So like if you do the math, you can figure out how big they are in this crossover, But I think seeing them next to people is the part where it's like, this is gross. Like this does not work for me. They like in the original My Little Pony, they had people, and so that you knew how big those ponies were. But these ones, they have their own whole world, and they're whatever size they are. So if you were to cross them over with something, I feel like it has to be another animal or like another something.
I don't know. Now I'm thinking after finishing the Tiger King documentary on Netflix, Joe Exotic and him keeping a park full of My Little Ponies.
I like that.
Terrifying.
Okay.
I mean, not for the ponies.
Just his gun toting.
We're fast
Okay.
approaching the end of the panel, and we unfortunately we have to have a high turnaround for the next. But one last quick question for Katie: What is the name of your cat?
Which one? I have 4.
List them off, rapid fire.
iPod is 20, Teeny Weeny, Dr. Spachemin, and Nakatomi Tower.
I love Dr. Spaceman.
Nice. All right. Then I have one final question for each of you, but due to time constraints, we're going to limit it to one sentence. In this time where comics are on a hiatus and future still unknown.
Speak for yourself. I do a webcomic.
There you go. Keep doing what are ways fans can support their favorite artists, writers, creatives within the medium? Starting with Trish.
Well, if they have a store, go buy something from them. Like an online store, I guess, if they have an online store. Otherwise, I mean, I guess share, obviously give all the credit where it's due and share properly and and just be vocal that you like their stuff. I mean, artists sometimes just need to hear that their stuff is good. I know we're our own worst critics here. Kitty cat.
Excellent.
Yeah, luckily for us, we're all sort of still working right now. Like Trisha's working on a pony issue. I'm working on ponies, and I've got another book that I'm working on right after that. So luckily it hasn't slowed down yet. If this thing goes on for 6 months or whatever, it could get real dicey. But I'm having right now, because conventions have gone away, I'm having a sale on my site on original art at TonyFleecs.com. It's 25% off everything until this thing is over. But for this convention day specifically, if you're on this feed, if you're listening right now, you can put in the promo code PonyFest, and instead of 25%, it'll be 35%. So if you're watching this and you were thinking about buying some stuff at this convention, if you get it from TonyFleecs.com, I just put pages up last night from My Little Pony 28, which came out this week. So there's new stuff on there, and it's super cheap right now. But yeah, and then if you have a shop where you usually buy your comics from, see if they're selling online.
Or if they're doing no contact pickup, but do they have to be closed? Because I don't
most
know.
places
My
have
shop,
to be closed now.
I'm sorry, I have to cut in because we are at a hard stop point. Katie, was just one sentence real quick. What's the best way people can support yourself and other creatives?
Just read my comic, Nothing Special, on Webtoon. That's all I need. It's free.
There we go. Well, I want to thank all of you for sharing your time and your talent and some awesome previews. And I don't know when the next season of My Little Pony in comic form will come out, but we're all looking forward to it and to the other creative works you put out there.
Same.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And